go. All right. So, hello and good morning and good afternoon. Good morning from Finland and good afternoon from Pakistan. And I am so delighted to have Miss Annina Lattu from Finland, and her expertise in open science, science communication, entrepreneurship give her distinction among many out there in the world. So Annina, thank you very much. And first of all, I would like to say happy birthday. It's your day, it's your birthday, and I'm so glad that you have spared some time for us. Happy birthday from all the viewers.
Thank you so much, Muhammad. Thank you for the grand words and for the best wishes. Yeah, happy to be here.
Right. So, Annina, I know it's your day and sparing time is difficult. So let's get to the discrete question. Please introduce yourself briefly and tell your relationship with science communication.
Sure. So my name is Annina Lattu, and I am a doctoral researcher in Tampere University, which is in Finland. And so my doctoral research topic is open science in university, industry communication in Finland and China. And how I got interested of doing research and this particular topic was that I was actually working as a business developer at a science communications company called Kaskas Media. And there, I understood back then that science, that it is first of all funded, and second of all heard by the public and by the government. It has such a huge impact on sustainability and on the future of our society. So that got me intrigued.
Right, wonderful knowing this all. Now, on the basis of your experience, your observation, and your data bank, why do you think it is important to have science communication, especially in context of developing countries like Pakistan? How is it too important?
So I think the core reason is actually similar whether we're discussing the Nordic countries or the global South. And the reason is that since we live in the age of internet, there is massive amount of information online, and people are doing research themselves if they're thinking of, I don't know, for instance, whether they should vaccinate their children or not, and then bumping into a piece of content produced by a researcher who actually has all the evidence backing up that you should actually do it. It's a matter of life and death. So that's a good example.
All right. So you consider that science communication is fundamentally important for every country. All right. So moving further,
exactly.
Who you think are the actual beneficiaries of science communication?
So I would say society as a whole, and also the people doing research. So if you're a researcher, I would point out 3 reasons why it's important that you communicate about your work. So first of all, it really clarifies your own thinking when you have to communicate your research to a wider audience. And like we know, clearly thought stuff is usually also the best research. And second of all, it increases your audience of your research, because for instance, if you share your stuff online, share your research articles on Twitter, it has potentially a bigger audience. Also practitioners can see it, but then also your colleagues might read it, and then it increases potentially your site score. And third of all, it improves your career, since the third mission of universities and social impact is something that is considered more and more by funders and by higher education institutes, and society
at large.
Society benefits as a whole, I'd say. Yeah.
Right. So yes. You are saying that the beneficiaries of science communication are individuals who are scientists. They can actually pitch their idea to funding agencies, and they can have more clarity, because putting your scientific work into simple wording is a difficult task. So it's a benefit, individual benefit.
Exactly.
You get promoted, you become a science hero once you communicate your science and you relate to society. Second beneficiary is the institution itself, the ranking of the institution and the contribution and participation of an institution in the society or in the academic world. The third beneficiary you mentioned is a society itself. When you systemize linkages between industry and academia through science communication, you actually build up the industry that has outcomes in terms of socioeconomic benefits, right? Great. Good to know. What do you think science communication can help to eradicate science misinformation, or it will encourage science misinformation? What's your take on that? Because some people have this concern.
That's a good question, because if you popularize a research too much, or if it is done by a person who, or not done in a dialogue with the researcher who has produced it, it might go wrong. So you have to be responsible when you're communicating results. So I think there totally is the risk of creating misinformation, and that's why I think the communicators, the science communication business has to, and I think at the moment it pretty much is taking responsibility of what it communicates. Yeah.
All right. So you think it's a sensitive matter. So once you are popularizing any aspect of science, you need to make it sure that there is no misinformation, or the data is not misinterpreted, or there is no a sort of a non-ethical aspect, right? So we have to be sensitive about it. All right. Now let's get to a tricky question, and because that is about how to kickstart a science communication activity in a university, or what is the framework, a working framework?
Yeah, I'd say I would approach this topic from either a grassroots level or then a bottom-up level, and depending where you work yourself or how you are related with your higher education institute. For instance, I'm a PhD researcher. If you're a researcher like I am, you could start with your colleagues and peers, and taking that you know yourself something about science communications, you could discuss how everybody does it. That's what we did with my colleagues, and having these real life examples, it really brings it on a practical level. Like, what is science communication in real life? What can you do? And then on the bottom up aspect, you can actually just contact the leaders of your higher education institute and establish a dialogue about this topic, and if whether there is science communication activities, and if not, you could actually offer some ideas and maybe start building it from there.
Right. Wonderful. So we can do a kickstart from our institution where we work or where we are studying, and we have to engage people. So do you think engaging people is one of a key word in science communication? Because when we talk about open science portals, we talk about connecting society and scientists. So it's the engagement that matters.
Exactly. And engagement, it's a really good word. In order to engage, you have to actually think about the other people and about your work, and what do you think they want to hear, and what do you think that brings value to them, and then think of how and where should you communicate it, and for instance which language you should use, etc.
All right. So you are referring that engagement is, it's possible through many different means, but one mean is connecting the benefits to those individuals you need to engage them in. So
exactly.
That's the aspect of, I think, the business world as well. I mean, you are a business graduate, I'm a business graduate. So you have to share the value and the worth and the profit doing this. What's your take?
You kind of, like you said, you kind of have to know your customer. So you have to underline and really think, and maybe you can even interview, if you have a possibility to do that, what does the audience you are approaching, what do they need, what in your work, what's something that is useful to them, of course, it might be so that your audience on Twitter is pretty large, but even there, you could have a poll. If you're a researcher starting to communicate with public, you could have a poll and ask, "Hey guys, here are 5 choices. What do you think would be interesting for you?" And then start communicating based on these results. That's one example.
Right. So you suggest that if I and anyone who wants to start this science communication venture in a university, share with people the benefits of it, how it can bring more value to their life, to their career, and to their overall financial, social aspect. All right.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah.
Moving on, just for my viewers, that open science is one of a major dimension of overall science communication. Open science is one of your area you're eager and keen in. Can you share any Finnish example of open science portals or things like that? And what should be taken in consideration while we are designing an open science portal?
Yeah, so open science, I'd say it means a lot of things to different people. In Finland, we have this national consortium forwarding open science. So there it is, for instance, divided into 4 areas. So the open science culture, then actually open publishing. So you publish your results and make sure that they're accessible. Then the data should be also open. And then fourthly, education. But portal, that is a good idea. I think there are at the moment many kinds of portals forwarding open science. I think most of them are related to publishing and opening data. But why not doing something else like matchmaking people or there are lots of possibilities.
Scientist matchmaking.
or funders.
Or we can have science Tinder.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds great. The people who want the results and then the people who are actually producing them. That sounds awesome. You should do it. Totally. I'd be a customer.
Yeah, the science Tinder sounds working. Okay, when we talk about science communication, this sounds so pretty good. What do you think are the hurdles or the difficulties or the challenges one can face once get into this science communication business?
Yeah, let's start from the scientist perspective. Back then, when I worked in the science communications agency, I think, and also my colleagues usually say this, and myself, there is so little time. Researchers, they need to do research. So then science communications might feel overwhelming. I think a good approach to that is to start from small steps and think what's normal and fitting for you. It doesn't have to be a book about your research. It can be only tweeting a bit or and then another part might be insecurity. You might feel insecure that when you're popularizing a research, you have to you cannot tell everything. You have to choose what you tell and to whom. So to this problem, I suggest you, when you're writing your blog post, you first discuss it with your mom or with your grandma or with someone who or the person who you think is part of your audience, and try to popularize and generalize it like this. So here are two examples from a researcher point of view, and from a business point of view, hurdles. Yeah, I think it's a field which is totally growing, the field of science communications businesses. What I saw back in the days was that it's hard work if you're a writer who popularizes science. You have to you might have a physics article and then you have to popularize that or help the researcher. So I think allocating enough time and also preparing your communicators and yourself who are working with the actual hands-on work to build some tools and tactics how to get into the research content. That might be overwhelming.
Thank you very much, Annina, Lattu, for your time. Have a great day. This is the first session with you on science communication. We will keep engaging you and we'll keep learning from your experiences about science communication, and We would like to learn more and more about science communication. Would like to utilize your experience and your learnings and your PhD work in our context of our country. So once again, happy birthday, have a great journey, and have a wonderful time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Waiting forward for it. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.